Hello, welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we're doing my favorite witchy reads for fall. You can't really see my hat because I don't want to back up too far, but I decided to do this video today. Originally, I got all kind of vamped up and I was going to do a vampire recommendations video, and then I realized I have not read very many vampire books. So we're going to save that and remedy that ASAP. But for now, we're going to talk about some of my favorite witchy reads. These are going to be all kinds of different witchy style reads. Like some of them will be lighthearted and fun. Some of them will be really dark and creepy. Some of them will be just really atmospheric. So lots of goodies that we're going to talk about, and we're just going to dive right in. So first up, I want to talk about Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allan. This is an adult book, but the themes I feel like are still okay for YA. This is about basically a family of sisters that is in this really small town. It gives you kind of like Gilmore Girls vibes, and they're kind of known for like their magical like recipes. Like it's kind of like known that they have like somewhat magical powers, but then people just kind of like don't really talk about it. So you go and you'll get like a drink or a cake or something, and they use like food from their garden that's supposedly magical. They have this magical apple tree. It's really great. It's really charming. It has a little tiny mystery in here. We've got some sisterly bonding. We've got a lot of talk of food in here and like really unique style food. This is one of my very faves. Then we're going to talk about Immortal by Gillian. This is part of a YA quartet. So this one is set in current times, and our lead character is sent to go to basically like a boarding school because she's got some things happening like with her family. And this boarding school is very dark and mysterious, and she learns some spooky things about her past, and then she finds a journal that she's reading while she's there that somehow connects to her, and she's really like entranced in this journal, and there's lots of magic and mayhem in this and a lot of other really cool things as well. I read this book in a day and I really liked it. The second book I didn't like quite as much, and I haven't read the third book yet. But it's definitely worth checking out if you like witchy reads. We're going to talk about The School for Good and Evil. This is the second book in the series because I don't have the first one just yet. So this is a middle grade series. Two girls that are friends that live in the woods, and there's this whole mystery. Like kids will get taken from their homes on a certain day of the year and either be sent to the School for Good or the School for Evil. And one character is convinced that she's going to be sent to the School for Good, and the other one kind of wants nothing to do with it, and then things kind of get swapped around. But there's definitely witchy, magical goodness in here. It's definitely got like Potter vibes as well. Speaking of, my all-time favorite witchy read is going to be Harry Potter, but since pretty much everyone's read that at this point, right? And if you haven't, like, you just need to stop this video and go do it right away. But that is my all-time favorite one, so we're not going to go like too depth into that. Next up is a recent read, and that is Winterwood by Shea. Ernshaw. I talked about this in my September reading wrap-up. I actually didn't really love the Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw when I read it the first time. That one's very witchy as well. I was kind of nervous to pick this one up, but I wound up really loving it. This is the like Pretty Owl Crate edition. So we have our main character lives in the woods. She comes from like a family of witches, where in current times there is like a boys camp for like disgruntled youth that also lives in the woods. The woods are known to be very like magical and dangerous, and so she kind of always like learns to be like respectful and aware of the woods, and she will go like looking into the woods to find lost things like trinkets and things like that. And one day she discovers a boy that's like lost in the woods in the winter. So it kind of goes on from there. You're also bouncing back and forth between this book. She has a journal from her ancestors, and it talks all about like their witchy ancestry and their witchy powers, and she doesn't really have a power or hasn't come into a power yet. It's so atmospheric. It's super witchy. I feel like this is perfect for the fall and the winter because it has a lot of winter vibes as well. There is a mystery in here, and it's really good. The ending will almost bring you to tears. It's just really beautifully written, and I loved it. Next up, we're going to talk about Three Dark Crowns by Kendare. One of my favorite fantasy series ever. This is a quartet. So in here, you're following three sisters that were raised from birth to basically know that they have to murder each other for the crown. It's not really as much about that as it is pitched in a lot of things. It's more about the girls like figuring out who they are and what really is happening. And so all three of the girls are sent to live in different places when they're like around 7 or 8, and all of them have some kind of like magical, whimsical ability. So one of them can kind of control the weather, one of them is really capable of ingesting and giving out poisons, and the other one is supposed to be really good with like finding a familiar and like talking to animals and stuff like that. So technically they don't consider themselves witches, but they have magical abilities and things in here. This is just really great and has a lot of twists and turns. It is somewhat on the slower side if you're physically reading it. I thought the audiobook was fantastic, and I really loved Amy Landon's narration because you bounce back and forth between the three sisters and also a friend in here. You get a lot of different perspectives. Just take your time and know that there's a lot of world building, but it's definitely worth it. Next up is one that nobody talks about, and that is Witchtown by Cory Putman Oakes. This one is super unique and super fun. It is a standalone, and this one's lead character's name is Macy, so I'm a little partial to it. Basically, this is set like in our current times where like witches are just a thing and they're known, and the government has like designated them to live in these witch towns, not necessarily as a punishment, but for like their own safety, so that with the general public, because there's like anger and stuff revolving around that, they just kind of go and live in their own little like coven-y places. And Macy and her mother go and pretend to be witches and then rob the towns and then hike out of here. And so Macy's kind of battling with the moral dilemmas there and growing up and loving her mother, but also knowing that it's kind of morally wrong. And then they arrive in this one special town and a lot of stuff happens. And it's really fantastic, and I absolutely loved it, and the audiobook is amazing as well. So we're going to talk about The Vine Witch by Luanne G. Smith. I also read this one recently. So this one has a lot to do with food and magic as well. It's about a particular town that uses vine witches to get like the best wine. They do like spells and things to preserve the harvest and protect the grapes and get the sweetest grapes. And we're following one main character in here that is kind of coming back from being gone for a while and helping out the current vineyard owner who doesn't necessarily believe in magic or any of that kind of stuff, and there is a lot of mystery in here. It seems really heavy on the romance for the first portion, and it does have a lot of romance in here, but there is a lot of mystery and magical enchantments and wonderfulness in here as well. It's super atmospheric, and I loved it. Next up is Wicked by Gregory Maguire. This is the first book in a quartet. This is what the musical Wicked is based on. However, I would just kind of erase that from your brain because it's very different. It's much darker and it's much more adult. There are some sexual themes in here, so just kind of keep that in mind. Following the Wicked Witch of the West before she becomes that, and she like goes to university, meets the Good Witch and a bunch of other different characters, and you're kind of just getting the background on her life and different things. It's very well done. It's very slow. I did really enjoy this. I kind of have mixed reviews on Gregory Maguire overall, but I still think this one is worth a shot. Just take that fluffiness of Wicked out of your brain when you're reading this. Next up is Sultans Storm by Kendall Kulper. I read this one a couple months ago for Mermaid Marathon, actually. I didn't know if it was gonna have like mermaids in it. It does not. It's about Avery Rowe, and she is trying to claim her birthright as the witch of Prince Island. They are known to like protect and serve spells and things for the community, but her mother was really against this and kind of took her away from the lineage of family witches that have kind of done this year after year. Her mother is just like, I don't want anything to do with this, but then Avery finds her way back with her grandmother and wants to kind of be prepared to take over this role, but she can't really find any magical abilities. It is absolutely beautiful. It was so much better than I was expecting it to be. I was truly shocked. I know my friend Brittany really loved this one as well. It was romantic and it was mysterious and it was heartbreaking all at once, and this makes it a perfect read for the fall. Lastly, we're going to talk about one of my all-time favorite witchy reads, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novick. This is an adult retelling of Beauty and the Beast. So this is about a wizard called the Dragon. He comes every few years and takes a girl, and then the girl's kind of not really heard from again, or sometimes she returns. I can't exactly remember. But it's very magical and it has those Beauty and the Beast vibes. There is a magical woods in here, lots of enchantment, lots of spells, and lots of really good romance. It is so beautifully done. It is definitely more of a slow burn, but it's very intricate and so beautiful, and I highly recommend it. So I think that's it. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything. If I am, I will add it on to next year's witchy collection. I will be updating this as I continue to read more witchy reads. I'm doing a lot recently as well. I like reading witchy stuff kind of all throughout the year, but I try to save the more darker vibed ones for fall. I do have a lot of siren witches or mermaid witch books as well to recommend, but I'm going to do that for a separate video that will be coming out this month also, so stay tuned for that if you love mermaids and want to continue your witchy love. Let me know down below some of your favorite witchy reads. I know I'm behind on a bunch of like super popular ones. I'm currently reading Hex Hall and really loving it also. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time on the bright side. Bye!